Welcome to In Touch Crime Beat. I'm Officer Don with Fayette Commonwealth's Attorney Ray Larson.
Out of jail, okay? Don't mess up.
And those are the people, those repeat offenders, the ones that go to prison. And
They say we're the #1 rated radio show in the whole country. Hey, welcome to In Touch Crime Beat. I'm Officer Don with Fayette Commonwealth's Attorney Ray Larson. And Ray, the legislature has, I guess, finished their session?
no, they've come. Their session, their regular session is over. They're in a special session dealing with a couple of specific things that they didn't get accomplished during the time that they were supposed to get it done, and they're limited about what they can do now, and they've done something that really disappoints me. One of the biggest travesties in Kentucky law, in my opinion, is their definition of what's a violent crime and what's not a violent crime. We've talked about this before, but for example, when Glenn Donahue ran over Brian Derman, the police officer, and killed him, that was manslaughter in the 2nd degree. Killed Brian Derman, violently killed him. That's not considered a violent crime. Nor, as you'd like to point out, is attempted murder a violent crime.
And the significance of that is in sentencing and how long they have to serve, correct?
That's right. If you're convicted of a violent crime, you have to serve 85% of your sentence. If you're convicted of what they call a nonviolent crime, then you only serve 20% of your sentence before you're eligible for parole. You see, so this guy that ran over Brian Derman, Glenn Donahue, got a 10-year sentence or so. So what's he eligible for parole in a couple of years?
Wow.
Well, he took a life violently, and that's not considered violent. Doesn't seem to fit. We had, as prosecutors and law enforcement, we had hoped that they would revisit that. Of course, I hope they'd revisit a lot of things that they didn't, but
Well, the sentencing thing is not fair to juries because, for whatever reason, that jury looked at the evidence and decided that was manslaughter. Okay, we'll respect that. They also sentenced this guy to 10 years. We should respect that because I'm sure when they were deliberating on this and they were looking at their options of what they could find this person guilty of, they thought, well, you know, manslaughter for whatever reason, but we're going to hammer him and make sure he stays in prison for 10 years.
No.
That doesn't happen.
well, the point is they're given the parole guidelines, you see, but the law limits. I mean, so the jury knows that he's eligible for a 20%er.
Really?
They just hope it won't be 20%. See, and then it's in the people who really make the decisions on how long a person stays in prison is the parole board. That's who makes that decision. And I've been an advocate of abolishing the parole board for a long time, and even more now, because we have absolutely zero truth in sentencing. There's no truth in it. When you announce that somebody got a sentence, you know that the sentence that you read on the news, if you ever did that, is not what they're going to serve. You know that. And the public is becoming painfully aware of that as well. So that was one they didn't do, and given the nature of the legislature and the direction they've gone in the last several years, that doesn't surprise me. They're more into letting them out the back door than putting them in the front door. So it's where it is. You know, I found something, Officer Don, that was one of the most interesting articles. The Stand Your Ground, Castle Doctrine, self-defense are in the news all the time now. And probably the best description that I've ever read, I read just the other day and I brought it in today, And it's not going to take long if you let me just do this. I'll try to do it with some inflection so that nobody will go to sleep on me.
Now, well, to set this up, of course, one of the things that have brought this to the forefront is the shooting in Florida involving the neighborhood watch person and this Trayvon Martin. That's why everybody's talking about the stand your ground, and that has been, I got to tell you, from an observer standpoint, it's been a weird case for me because I've not seen a situation where the police look at and decide not to bring charges. The local prosecutor decides not to bring charges, and then they bring a special prosecutor in after they have an uproar about it, and the guy suddenly gets charged. But we'll see. We don't know what the evidence is, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully, they're going to do things right. But that case has brought this castle doctrine, the stand your ground thing, to the forefront. And in Kentucky, we have, it's not necessarily stand your ground, it's called the castle doctrine, right? Mm-hmm. That's what you're going to discuss here.
Well, here's what it says. Over a century before the National Rifle Association began promoting stand your ground laws, in 2005, the United States Supreme Court held in 1895 that an innocent person under attack was not obliged to retreat, but entitled to stand his ground and meet any attack upon him with a deadly weapon in such a way and with such force as he honestly believed and had reasonable grounds to believe was necessary to save his own life or protect himself from bodily injury. That's the origination of the stand your ground. That was in 1895. Now, stand your ground laws only became necessary when the states began to adopt laws through their legislatures and their courts imposing a duty to retreat whenever possible on victims of violent attacks in public. At least one state, Massachusetts, even adopted that duty to flee when attacked in your own home. So, you know, that sort of sets the groundwork for why did the NRA get into this. The point of stand your ground laws is to eliminate the duty to retreat when you're attacked in public. That has now been adopted as law in half the states in the United States. Almost every state has adopted the castle doctrine, which says you don't have a duty to retreat from your own home when you're attacked. But this stand your ground law deals with out in public. Now, stand your ground laws only involve the simple logic of justice. The attacker does not have the legal or moral right to attack the victim. The bad guy does not have the legal or moral right to attack a victim. The victim has.
Tune in to the following stations to hear the full episode.